So 2024 seems to be the year of the lightweight e-bike. We're seeing headline weights everywhere, press releases, 16 kilos here, there and everywhere, but doesn't tend to be the full story, doesn't it? When you get hold of the bikes, they rarely match up to the claimed figures.
Danny, they never match up to the claimed figures. What I wanted to talk through today was I've come up with 13 ways that bike manufacturers kind of sneak in weight reductions to try and hit those headline claimed weights.
All right, so what's the number one top trick brands use to get that headline weight?
It's really simple. You weigh a smaller size bike.
That's obvious, isn't it?
Totally. It's a no-brainer, right? And that's one of the reasons why the bikes we get on test, because we normally ride large, aren't as light as they say. And it's not just the fact that the frame's smaller and the steerer tube's smaller. The handlebars might be narrower. The rotors could be smaller. There's a lot of little things that add up on a smaller size just to help chip that headline weight down.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, fit really lightweight tires.
Wow, that's been one from analog days, hasn't it?
It's probably the worst thing to do, right? I mean, I think when Canyon launched the Neuron on, that's what they were guilty of that, trying to hit the kind of like the Schwalbe tires on there with really thin sidewalls. And like, it doesn't matter how light they are. You're not going to get down the trail without puncturing. So total waste of time.
Yeah, it's basically just for hanging on the scales.
Yeah, and that's it. Hey, look at this. And I bet they don't even put sealant in when they weigh it. That's a little sneaky one that I didn't have on the list. Okay, the next one is scrimp on battery capacity.
Yeah, because batteries are probably the heaviest part of the system, aren't they?
Absolutely, and it's important where you put it in terms of how the bike handles. So, you know, like we say on a full power bike, I'm happy with 700, 750. That's what I want, yeah? So any bike that's got a 600 or a 630 or all of those things, that's a way to get the weight down, but it really robs you of range.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking almost a kilo sometimes between those weight differences.
And you know what, Danny, there's probably a bigger difference on the lightweight bikes, because you've got something like a Specialized, like a Turbo Levo SL with a 320, and then you've got Fazoo on 430.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It is, yeah.
Right? So number 4 is reducing the frame travel.
Okay, because although travel doesn't weigh anything, the parts that are associated with that travel and intended use.
And a really good example is the new white E-Lite 140 Works bike.
Yep.
Basically, it's the same frame as the 150 bike, shorter stroke shock, shorter travel fork with smaller stanchions, lightweight wheels. They've just basically lightened everything up and made it more kind of XC.
Yeah.
So they could hit their sub 17 kilogram.
And so inline shock as well, rather than piggyback.
There's lots of little ways you can do that. I mean, this one's really kind of like, really obvious when you think about it, is just design the bike around a 27.5 inch rear wheel.
Yeah. Smaller wheels are lighter, aren't they?
Smaller, shorter spokes, smaller rims. If you put inner tubes, everything, it's all lighter, yeah. And another good example of that was when from Gen 1 to Gen 2, Specialized Turbo Levo SL.
Yep.
Gen 1 was 2929. Turbo Levo
Standard
SL,
mullet. Yep.
Mullet.
Yep.
Guess what? It's lighter. Okay. So this is one that isn't a trick. That's actually good, but it's going to cost you money, is basically use a higher modulus carbon.
Okay, yeah. We've seen a lot of brands do that.
Two-tier system, like Santa Cruz has got its CCC.
I mean, the Focus recently uses it.
Canyon's got
Mondraker,
CF, CFR.
Orbea, a lot of brands do that.
Same mold, different carbon. So number 7 is speccing underpowered XC brakes.
Okay, so what? Yeah, we're talking 2-piston brakes, small rotors.
Smaller rotors, just anything, even organic brake pads.
Yeah, they're lighter, aren't they?
Yep.
They'll save you a couple of grams.
But when you're looking for that target weight, you'll take it.
Watch the pennies and
you'll
the pounds.
rob it from anywhere.
You'll rob it from anywhere. Themselves,
yeah, and I think it's a really bad one, because obviously one thing that we know from riding e-bikes is they are heavier. You can ride them really fast, and you want really good brakes.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to tires as well, doesn't it? All that stuff.
The combination. Number 8, fitting forks with smaller legs, thinner forks. I mean, we mentioned that earlier on the white, but even on like the full power bikes, what was really interesting in the e-bike of the year test we did last year, the 2 winning bikes both had 36 forks on them.
Rather than 38s.
Not 38s, or not a Zeb, or not a big beefy fork, because we preferred kind of like the flex feel of it. So that can be an advantage if it suits the rider weight. Now, number 9 is kind of, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but use a mechanical drivetrain. So we've seen that when I tested the Trek Fuel EXE, we tested the top end bike. It had like Axis everything. It had like shock whiz, suspension, air whiz, tire whiz. It had flipping electronics everywhere, And then I looked online and I was like, oh, the model below it, which I think was like $3,000 cheaper, had Shimano XTR, and it was like a kilo lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen this on the latest Cube that just come out, the 144 AMS.
Yeah.
That's got the same
Totally.
XTR.
And you know, it's interesting, Dan. I remember when I wrote that test, I was like, the Trek hasn't, it was the lightweight e-bike test. And I'm like, you haven't spec'd this to be the lightweight e-bike. You spec'd it to be the most expensive.
Yeah, and they kept adding batteries, which is more weight. It had about 10 batteries on it, didn't it? It was
just crazy.
Yeah.
They kind of went about it all wrong, I think, with that. Next, number 10 is XC dropper posts.
Okay, yeah, we're talking like Fox SL, Transfer SLs.
Yeah, Transfer SL. So the Transfer SL is almost 300 grams lighter than the 200 mil factory Fox dropper post.
Yeah, that's a big
so again, so if you do 300
single...
on the dropper and 300 with your lightweight carbon, you're over half a kilo lighter.
Yeah.
That's boom. I mean, but again, it's not a compromise I like to make. I'd like to have a proper dropper post. I'm happy to put up the weight because, again, e-bikes, they can get you into terrain where it's like you can get steeper ups, steeper downs, and you really want to get your seat out of the way.
I wouldn't like having two fixed positions.
No.
I want to be able
full
to
up or full
dial
down.
it in depending on the slope and stuff.
Totally. Number 11 is non-removable batteries.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a trend we're seeing more and more. You know, we've got bikes behind us there.
Exactly.
And it's kind of several fold advantages to doing that, isn't it? It's not just the hardware that kind of holds the battery
the frame
in place.
construction. Absolutely. I mean, there's disadvantages too. You can't charge the battery in your house if you haven't got power in your shed. There's a few other things about it that I think's like, I mean, for racing, this bike's a race bike, and you try to take the battery out because I challenged you to do it in, what did Bear say you could do it in 12 minutes or something?
15 minutes.
And you weren't even close, were you?
We had someone in the comments the other day who
They
said they could do it in
it.
5 minutes.
Can you come and do ours, please?
It's a job for you waiting at Orbea in the race team.
Absolutely. So that's the one, and I think it's more. What's interesting is that it seems more common on the bike with on the mid-powered small battery bikes, because obviously they're chasing the weight. But it's almost like the one that you want to change. You want two batteries for that bike, because when you've got a 750 watt-hour battery, you kind of don't really need to change it as much because you've got all the power you need.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's kind of a weird one. Number 12 is using one-piece bar and stem combos, our favorite.
Yeah, we love those. And so that's on one that's on the Focus, that's the VAM Squared. It's on the Cube that's just come out. It's on the Scott.
That's a really expensive paperweight if you want to change if you want to change the sweep on the bars, or if you don't like because it's really hard to kind of almost gauge the length of those stems because it's affected by the back sweep. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
Quirky things, aren't
I'm
they?
not a fan.
Yeah.
And the last one, again, this is a cool one, number 13. So this is the final point. It was on the Cannondale Motera SL that brought my attention to it recently. They've just launched. That's got a Shimano full power motor. It's got a custom 600 watt hour battery, and it's 19.5 kilo, which is impressive.
Yep.
And one of the things they did was it's got a flex stay.
Yeah, because
it's understanding it's on the chain stay. It's not the seat stay, it's the chain stay. So it actually is it's still like a 4-bar design rather than being like a single pivot. So yeah, they eliminate bearings, hardware, complete carbon rear end.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Usually about 150 gram roughly weight saving, isn't it? And it's generally cheaper as well, isn't it?
Exactly. And if they've dialed the suspension, because there's multiple different ways to do a flex stay, and if they've done it well, then I think that could be one way to get the weight down without compromising the performance. So those are my 13 tricks that bike manufacturers use to hit those headline weights, and rarely do they hit them.
So there you go. If you've got any sneaky tricks, helium-filled tyres maybe, stuff like that, let us know in the comments. We'd be super interested to hear them. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.